I learned two things about myself this month. The first is that I love everything to do with the Sega Mega Drive, and the second, that I have no willpower. It's time for another collector's edition. My name's Mike, and this is the Retro Gamer Boy Show. Welcome back to the show, and today is another collector's edition. Now, the collector's edition is where I'm trying to collect everything to do with the Sega Mega Drive. Games, peripherals, the consoles. Now, in the last collector's edition, I said there probably wouldn't be another one because I needed to keep the money together. But it turns out I have zero willpower because I saw a couple of awesome things for the Sega Mega Drive this month, and there was no way I could pass up on them. But I couldn't afford it. So this month I've spent not only time buying Mega Drive stuff, but also sending off the majority of my complete in-box NES collection. Now, I kept a few choice games, but pretty much all of them went. I also sold off my Pokemon collection and most of my Street Fighter 2 PlayStation 1 collection. But it was well worth it for these awesome pickups we got for the Sega Mega Drive. Now, the best thing about this month's pickups is that everything came from private sellers. None of it came from eBay. You can guarantee if it came from eBay, it would cost 6 times the price. So I got some excellent deals from some excellent sellers. And the first thing I picked up was a game, and it's the only game that I picked up this month. It's Dragon Ball Z. Now, this is the third variant. There were 3 variants of this game. The first one came out in France and I believe Spain, and those variants had this cartridge here. The second variant came out in Portugal that had a front cover that was similar to this, blue spine, but it has like a big star burst over in the corner. But the game inside is actually the Japanese version with Japanese instructions. And then there's this version, the third variant. This is the Portugal version, but with a European cartridge. Now, with the second version, you had to also get an adapter to play it on your Sega Mega Drive. There's also a VHS copy, although I'm not too sure what that is. I need to do more research on exactly what that variant was. But this is an awesome game. This is in stunning condition. I love the condition of this, obviously. Put the manual in a plastic sleeve as well. And the game's not bad at all. It's good for a fighter. It's got a really unique mechanic in it where the screen splits and scrolls depending on which side of the screen and which player you have as well. So another fighter and European game crossed off the list. Next up, we have a 4-player adapter. Now, this is the first variant of the 4-player adapter. There are 2 variants, not in manufacturing style, but actually in the box and presentation. Of course, there's the Japanese variant as well. But in Europe, we got 2 variants of the box. And this is in excellent condition. It comes with its baggie that it came with originally, works perfectly. And inside here we have the instruction manual and all the stickers in pristine condition. Absolute bargain as well. I got it from a private seller for about 50% of what some people tried to sell this for on eBay. Next up is a peripheral that I've been after for the longest time, but it's always been too expensive and always damaged and in poor condition. But I finally found one that's in the condition that I find acceptable, and the peripheral is in great condition. It's the Sega Mega Drive mouse. Now, apart from this scuff here where I guess the price label was, it's in great condition. The box looks beautiful, really nice. And these later Mega Drive peripherals all have this flimsy card on them, so finding them in any kind of good condition is really hard. Now, the European and Japanese mouse was completely different from the US, the Sega Genesis mouse, as it in form factor, number of buttons it had, all of that kind of stuff. It's a completely different mouse. This comes with the instruction manual, It doesn't have the baggie for it or for the mouse itself, but this is in perfect condition. The mouse mat has never been used. It's still folded in its position, its packing position there. That's in perfect condition, and so is the mouse. Now, you'll notice that there's only two buttons here. This is A, this is B. If you want to use C, you had to push down on the bottom of the controller like that, or controller on the bottom of the mouse there. And I think if your game needed a start button, you couldn't use this version of the mouse. Now, it's a really weird design. You'll see that it doesn't actually sit perfectly on the ground. And I think that's because people do hold it and play with it like that. And I think some of the intention was that you can move it around like this. There are only a few games that support the mouse. One of them is Body Count that I recently added to the collection, and it makes the game so much better. Body Count obviously works with the 𝗏𝗏𝗧. The 𝗏𝗏𝗧 is a real pain to set up, or at least I find it a real pain to set up in my games room. Using the mouse made the game so much easier, although the game is easy to start with. So the mouse has finally been added to the collection. Now, next up we have a peripheral that I never thought I would have in my collection. It's super rare to get hold of, and I only found out about it last year. And that is the Justifier, but not just any Justifier, the Justifier for Lethal Enforce's 2 gunfighters. Like I said, I didn't even know this existed until a couple of years back. Now, the version of the gun that most people are after is the 2-player version of the gun that you found for Lethal Enforce's 1. But just having this in the collection is something I never thought I'd get hold of, and is the reason why I had to sell all those games to pay for it. It comes completely boxed. It's got the little card at the top there and is still bagged up. Now, I think this had a leaflet as well. The leaflet is missing from this. But to have this version of the gun, or at least this box version of the gun, is something I never thought I'd add to the collection. It looks so rare. And when I went on to different online shops, I only found one other gun available in this box being sold in Russia. Now, the peripheral I've really wanted was the pink version of the Justifier. This is the 2-player, the 2nd-player gun that allows you to play Lethal Enforcers and Lethal Enforcers 2 gunfighters in 2-player. And it's hard to get hold of. I nearly got one on eBay a couple of months ago, but it went for way more than I can afford. So you'll understand that when I saw this and I saw its brother sitting next to it, I couldn't pass this up. Not just a rare version of the gun in this, but an even rarer version. I've never seen this. I never knew this existed even. The 2-player version of Lethal Enforce's Justifier Gunfighters 2 gun sitting right next to it. I had to buy these as a pair. It's hard enough to get this 2nd-player pink gun, but to get it in this variant, I had no idea existed. Must be astronomical. This must be one of the few guns in this set around. Now, you can see it hasn't got its baggie with it and it hasn't got the instructions, but it doesn't matter. Getting hold of the pink gun is hard enough as it is. Getting hold of this as a set just feels like I've hit gold. So there they are. I can't believe those two were sitting on a shelf waiting for me to pick them up. I went up to the store owner, I looked at them, I went back, I looked at some other stuff, went back to them again, then went back to some other games like, look, if I don't get these, then I'm never going to be able to get them. And they're just so awesome up there on the shelf. Me and my son have played a 2-player game, finally, of Lethal Enforcers. He loves the game, even though I'm a bit, it's okay. But great to get those in the collection. Having the mouse behind me up there as well, another thing that I've been after for a long time. And it just goes to show that going to private collectors, going to private shops will give you better value for money on these items. These items that go for like 3 times the cost on eBay. Now, if you love videos about the Sega Mega Drive and Genesis, you love finding out about brand new indie games for old consoles, or you just love retro gaming, then why not consider subscribing by clicking on a little button just below this video. We put out brand new retro gaming videos every single Monday. And so that you don't miss them, you can click on a little bell, also just below this video. Now, if you can't wait until Monday, don't worry, because we've got a huge back catalogue of retro gaming videos, 2 of which you can watch over here.